All right, so the question of the day: should Oklahoma Sooners head coach Brent Venables make a change to the offensive coordinator position? This has been a hot topic, especially since the Houston game with Oklahoma fans. And quite frankly, I feel like this is a topic, a conversation that we should not be having 2 weeks into the season. I think it's a huge overreaction, but we're going to talk about it today. We're going to discuss it and talk about the ramifications that this would have for Oklahoma going forward. So jump in the comments below, join the discussion. Let me know if you guys agree with some of the fans that are calling for Brent Venables to make a change at the offensive coordinator position. Additionally, for the 66% of you that are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you're subscribed. We want you to be a part of the community here. We want to make sure you're constantly getting plugged in with good OU football content. Okay, so yeah, after an abysmal offensive performance against Houston, you have and it's not like a small amount of fans. You've actually got a good chunk of fans questioning if Brent Venables should move on from Seth Luttrell as one of his offensive coordinators. And in my opinion, this is just a mind-blowing question because Seth Luttrell has only had, what is it, 3 games now with this team. So he had the bowl game and now these 2 games. And in the bowl game, you had a really good offensive performance. Jackson Arnold just turned the ball over a couple times, which some of those were maybe Jackson Arnold's fault, maybe not. We're not here to talk about that. But then you get into the season and the Temple game and the Houston game combined, Oklahoma can't even get to 600 plus yards total through those 2 games. And for an offense or for an Oklahoma fan, you have high expectations when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. So I get where people are frustrated. People want to see this team go out there and perform at a high level year in and year out. They saw it through the Riley era when you had, the Tennessee coach, Josh Heupel. When you had Josh Heupel here and he wasn't getting it done, Bob Stoops had to make the move to fire him, move on, and hire Lincoln Riley, where you went, close to 8 years where you're off. Well, actually, it's going to be, close to 8 years where your offensive performance never really dwindled, even after Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma and you had Jeff Lebby take over the offensive coordinator duties. You could say that the offensive play calling even got a little bit faster with Jeff Lebby. So, should Oklahoma and Brent Venables move on from Seth Luttrell? I'm going to tell you the easy answer is no. One, because you've only gotten 2 games with Seth Luttrell. Additionally, Seth Luttrell has actually called a pretty good game against Houston. It really just comes down to execution by the players. And before people want to say, well, then do we need to look at Bill Bedenbaugh for the offensive line issues? I'm here to tell you, I don't think the offensive line last game was as big of a problem as some people might think it is. And we can talk about the offensive line numbers at a later date because I'm still collecting a lot of that data. But I'm telling you right now, the offensive line, I don't think was as big of a problem as some people think. When you look at the problem on offense for Oklahoma, I think it comes down to execution from the players, but also to the personnel that is on the field. And a lot of that's right now coming down to injuries. You lost Jaden Gibson. You lost Jalil Farouk, right? Jalil Farouk potentially can come back this season. And I think as soon as he is able to come back, you need him to come back. But Andrel Anthony and Nick Anderson, supposedly, I feel like Andrel's healthy because I feel like that's what we've been told, but we didn't see him yet last week against Houston. Additionally, we're told Nick Anderson is going to be back sooner rather than later. So to me, that feels like he's week to week. And if he was suited up last game, you felt like that if he was able to go, like even if it was just like, oh, like I'm a little sore or just a little hurt, but I can get out there and run, you would have at least put him out there as a decoy to give Deion Burks and Jackson Arnold a little bit of a reliever. Because the problem is Jackson Arnold's dropping back. One, Jackson Arnold's probably overthinking the throws too much. But if you noticed, the Houston defense played a little wide on Oklahoma. And when Oklahoma wanted to go deep with Deion Burks, they locked him down because, well, he was really the only threat. Because I guess Brennan Thompson's banged up from something I saw earlier. And so if Deion Burks is being, locked up. He doesn't really have anywhere to go with the ball. And it felt like against Houston, you had receivers that stopped running in the middle of the route, ran the wrong route. Jackson Arnold, I think, just has so much going against him right now with having all of these different variations of an offensive line, not having consistent wide receivers to throw to. The only thing consistent that he has had is tight end and running back this year. And it's hard to get the running game going when you can't get the passing game going because the defense knows exactly what you're going to do every time you roll out onto the field. So, no, Seth Luttrell is not, I think, the issue. And I don't think Oklahoma needs to make a change there. I think when you get Andrell Anthony back and Nick Anderson back, and they're on the field at the same time, it's going to open up the offense a little bit more because Jackson Arnold will have more weapons to throw to, and the defense isn't going to be able to solely focus on Deion Burks and be able to lock down that weapon for Jackson Arnold. Now, in turn, not only is this going to open up the offense between those three, but when Oklahoma wants to put out Zion Ragens or a Jaquez Petaway or Zion Kearney or somebody like that at the wide receiver position, some of those younger guys now might be a little bit more successful because the defense, again, won't be as focused on them as they are against OU's better wide receivers and some of their bigger targets like a Nick Anderson and an Andrell Anthony and a Deion Burks. Remember, I think Andrell Anthony and Deion Burks are very similar in the way that they play and the way that they run. They're very good deep threats. I think they can play in the slot for you. Nick Anderson is a little taller. I think he's 6'4". So Nick Anderson is a guy that goes out there right now and brings something that you don't have and is size. Now, obviously, Oklahoma's got Ivan Carrion too, but Carrion is a true freshman. So it's also understandable why he's not getting a ton of run. But that means if you're not going to run Ivan Carrion and Nick Anderson's not going to be out there, you probably need to be running two tight ends at all time, especially when they're two tight ends that are experienced in Jake Roberts and Bauer Sharp, who both have actually played pretty well for Oklahoma. So when you look at the offense and you look at what is going on with it, what's wrong with it, I feel like it just comes down to two players. And for the people that say it's crazy to say that two players are going to make that big of a difference, I want to refer you to the 2020 Oklahoma team when they brought back Ramondre Stevenson. It felt like the offense started clicking. You brought back Isaiah Thomas on the defensive side of the ball. And then by the time Oklahoma played Florida in the Cotton Bowl, even though they had 2 losses, they looked like a team that could compete for the national championship. So I look at it and I say, and I ask the question again, is Brent Venables going to make a massive change? No, and neither should he be thinking about it. The fans, I get it. Everybody wants to be mad. They want something to be mad at. But calling for Seth Luttrell's job this early in the season, it's just not it. It's just not the take, guys. All right. If you haven't already, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Join the discussion below. Give me your thoughts, and we'll see you guys next time.